Our first evaluator, I figured I'd start geographically close. And this person jumped in and said, I have a couple things to say. Please welcome Sue DeLapp. Sue?
Mr. Toastmaster, District 3, and especially Jim. I have several stories to share, but I'm just going to share one. Jim Ing needs your help, and I will explain that shortly. First of all, do you notice how Jim calls himself Toastmaster Jim? It's because he is such a Toastmaster. He must have been born a Toastmaster. He just loves it. However, do you know that he is an engineer? When I heard he was an engineer, I went, whoa, a resource for computers, the internet, smartphones. No. Would you believe that Jim Ing, until 2 years ago, had a flip phone? A flip phone, guys. I was always so embarrassed. At Cosmopolitan, we have students there. I said, put that phone away, Jim. You're going to embarrass yourself. You make yourself look old. Put it away. I think I have Peter and David to think about, because when he became a district officer, all of a sudden he had a smartphone. Thanks, guys. Wonderful. But District 3, this is where we really need help. Jim needs help. For the last 4 or 5 weeks, when we meet on Wednesday night, Jim's internet's been dicey, to say the least. His little cell always gets frozen. It's not attractive. The other members of Cosmo, they're really nice. They kind of laugh among themselves and don't say anything. Not me. I unmute myself and say, Jim, not attractive. You're frozen again. Move to another room. And he has. For the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's been moving to a different room to get the best internet. It's not working. I said, you got an old router. Do something about it. So last night, I talked to him and I said, which room are you going to use tomorrow? Or are you going to sit on your router? Jim, you need a new internet or something. But in closing, I really want to tell you, Jim, how much I appreciate your sense of humor, your willingness to help others, your energy, your wife Carol's chocolate cakes, that's another story, but especially your gift of friendship and service, not only to Cosmo and the district, but to me and your friends. You are truly Toastmaster Jim. But do something with your internet, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sue. Sue, you brought up an excellent point. Jim is sitting here in screen, but given his speed of internet, I'm not sure if we're really seeing the live image or if he has one of those cutout things like they put in the seats at the sporting events. So we're going to check on Jim each time. Jim, Marco. Jim, Marco. You're supposed to say Polo. Jim?
Polo!
Oh, yeah. You just ran in from the kitchen to do that, right? Okay, next up for the roast, we have Nancy Duckett. Nancy, you ready to go?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Yes. I didn't know who Jim Ing was until the night he received his Outstanding Toastmaster Award of the Year 2017-2018. Of course, he's from Tucson. I did, however, find that we have a certain kinship. If he didn't take the mic and walk to center stage, you'd never be able to see his head above the podium. That's the same for me. Even Captain Toastmaster didn't have the powers to rise above the podium, or could he? I learned to appreciate Jim. He was the one district director I could speak with eye to eye and not find myself talking to somebody's chest. And Jim, for heaven's sake, Cox high-speed internet is much faster than CenturyLink DSL. But seriously, where did you find the time, the energy to personally let each of us know how much you appreciated our service and a box of Captain Crunch. Thank you for a great year. Cheers, Jim.
Thank you very much, Nancy. You know, it's nice you call out Jim's effort, but let's face it, he only put in a year and a half on the job, right? He joined halfway through the PQD year. Then maybe he put in 6 or 8 months before he got to sit back and do COVID. I think your net miles is like 1/3 of what most other people who run in this district director position have. So you got off light, my friend. All right, next up we have Franklin Giason. Franklin, you ready to go?
Yes, Toastmaster. Yes, Michael Hogan. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome, welcome, and welcome. Thank you so much for allowing me to be before you all to share some intimate experiences that I've had with this evening's past District 3 Director, Jim Young. Some people are just blessed with charisma, charm, wit, and intelligence. Jim Young is not one of those persons. He's just not. Jim and I have been friends for almost 12 months in Toastmasters. A wonderful year gone, half of it to Corona. Not sure how many he drank. Over this course of time, he has been a friend constantly in need of getting reports and reports. He had the keen ability and authority to ask questions whenever he was in need with a long Excel sheet, which he sent very well highlighted, maybe 20 to 50 times. Luckily, I read that the 50th time. Any help you need, let us know. He said, that is the district leaders, but for now, help yourself. I landed up as Zone 6 area director also, along with division director. The Toastmaster Secret Services Club sent this message to you, Jimeng, that when you were born, your father and mother asked the doctor, was it a boy or a girl? You know, the doctor said, he's a TM. They asked, what is TM? They said, Toastmasters. Jimeng, I can say that you have been like a brother, literally, because my own brother does everything for others' well-being, smiling and being happy all the time. Jimeng, we all love you. We all wish you the best in life, leadership in Toastmasters and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Franklin. Great job. Great job. Next, we have via the magic of technology. Oh, it's all the magic of technology. But we will be presenting a video from Angelina Beaudry. Hopefully the technology will help. David, take over.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Thank you, Michael, for inviting me to roast Jim. I'm sure that Jim was probably a little bit relieved when he first heard that I wasn't going to be attending live, but thanks to Michael's wonderful suggestion that I record this, you don't get to miss out on my roasting you. I'm pretty sure this is just Michael's way of throwing a little bit of revenge at you because he didn't like how badly he got roasted last year. Or, I don't know. I'm not there. Maybe he loved it and he's currently wearing the ring toss on his head right now, for all I know. Jim, this year wasn't what we expected it to be, but I think given that you stepped into the PQD role and were basically told you have to plan a conference in a couple of months, by the way, nothing's done, you can roll with this, right? And you just stepped right in and did it. I don't think that it was really to be unexpected that your year as DD would turn out, well, like this. I mean, your luck isn't that great. The one good thing about the fact that we are having a virtual celebration of you right now is that at least your credit card bill will be lower because you didn't have to bring your wife up to shop in Scottsdale. And we know that with the whatever passes for internet down south there in the lower part of the state, there's no way that she could be online shopping right now at the same time. So I guess that's a bonus. And one thing that I admired about you this year in the district, Jim, was just how excited you were to see each and every one of us at every event. It didn't matter what the event was or how long it had been since you'd seen us. You greeted each of us as if we were your long-lost best friend that you hadn't seen in decades, giving us all the biggest hugs and saying how happy you were to see us. And honestly, it made me question your sanity, because I've met this district and I know me, and it made me wonder, Jim, if you remembered who we all were. Greeting Holian that warmly. I mean, really? And me? But in all honesty, Jim, it was a pleasure working with you. The happiness that you exuded throughout the whole year was a joy to behold. And I look forward to a year of you teaching Peter the ropes and how to, not be a jerk, which is honestly going to take a lot of work. And bless you.
All right. Thank you, Angelina. Please, folks, send your note to Angelina on what a good job she did in her video roast. Speaking of video roast, these are hard skills. So please think of doing something like this for you and your members in the club. Try something new. Try standing up, moving around, things like that. Speaking of moving, let's move down to Tucson again and see if David Hopper has better internet than apparently Jim Eng does. David.
Thank you, Michael Holian, and my fellow Toastmasters. I've come to believe that Jim has lived a sheltered life. And I'm not just talking about his cell phone or his internet, all the problems you've already heard about. No, there's more to it. Like our first trip to Phoenix, Jim shows up with a giant bag of cookies and a bottle of water. And I said to Jim, I'm going to stop at Circle K and I'm going to grab a Polar Pop. And Jim looks at me and goes, "What's a Polar Pop?" I said, "It's a drink, Jim." And so we stop in Circle K, I grab a drink, and he grabs it. He's like, "I can never drink this. It's just way too much liquid." 10 minutes later, Jim had finished his drink before I finished mine, which, trust me, that's quite an accomplishment. One more thing. On the second trip to Phoenix, we're driving, and the flap of the rubber around my windshield starts flapping in the wind. We're going 70 miles an hour. It's July, 115 degrees out, and Jim says to me, "I'm going to just roll down my window and reach my hand out and hold the flap for the entire rest of the trip." I could just see the blisters forming on my butt when I brought Jim back to Carroll after letting him do that, which I didn't let him do that. One more thing. Speaking of Carroll, when we went to Denver, I show up at the airport and Jim shows up and he comes up to me and he says, "I am so glad you're on this flight." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because Carol told me I had to stay with you. Otherwise I was going to get lost at the airport. And so I needed to stay with you in order to find my way." One more thing. By the way, that one more thing, that's what Jim used to do to us every trio meeting. We get about halfway through our trio meeting, and I would say halfway because we were about wrapping up. And then for the next 30 minutes, Jim would one more thing us after one more thing us after one more thing us, taking the meeting from, to half an hour to 40 minutes or an hour or longer. But one more thing. Jim, it was an honor to serve with you this year, and I'm going to miss you in the upcoming years. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Yeah, that's a great point, Jim. And one more thing. Jim, we've got a few more things for you. Up next, staying in Tucson, is Christy Hopper. Bring it on, Christy.
Hopefully you guys can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So when I first started getting to know Jim, one of the first questions I asked him was, what did he do professionally? What did he do for a living? And I don't know if he's told other people. Sue says that he's an engineer, but he's very private about it, and he wouldn't tell me what he did for a living. So I decided to dig into the archives of history and try and find clues. I Googled him. He does not exist on the web. There is no information about Jim Eng. David and I discussed it many times. Does he work at the university? He said he worked in maintenance, but we think he's joking. We don't know what he does. So the question is, what does Jim do? And I think over the years, he's given us some possible clues. Like today, Jim likes to change things up. He'll wear hats and costumes. And so in one situation, he kept bringing lemons to area director trainings and contests. And so I thought, maybe Jim is a lemon farmer. Then there's evidence that he could possibly be a roadside construction or a road construction crew member. There's also photographic evidence that Jim could be a firefighter, or possibly even a doctor or a physician. And then we've all seen him in his ringleader outfit. And so it's very possible that he could be running a circus, which we all know that's pretty much what it takes to work in Toastmasters. And then, of course, he's everyone's superhero as Captain Toastmaster, and he could very well be a superhero in real life. There's also been evidence of him delivering mail, so perhaps he works for the post office. And then I found this picture, and I told David, hey, maybe Jim is a musician. And David said, no, he's not a musician. He's a magician, because when he plays music, he makes everyone disappear. I don't know what Jim does for a living, but I do know that he is a pleasure to be around, and it was an honor for all of us to work with him and get to know him over the years. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Christy. Let's get that video going again. Thank you so much. All right, staying in our Tucson theme one more time with Jim Davis. Jim, ready to go?
Sure am, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. As a past District 3 governor, I have some complaints. Our immediate past district director is just way too nice. He always seems to have this dorky smile and a pleasant demeanor. For crying out loud, the man giggles. He's always been that way. I have known him all the way back before his area governor year. His mentor knew that he'd have no problem being selected to be an area governor. After all, he's just too nice. Did anyone ever notice that he never had to run against anyone? He got to skip growth director altogether, and he was appointed program quality director. He was elected district director because he ran unopposed. Heck, if he had to run, he would have probably won anyway because he's just so nice. And no doubt, Jim would apologize for beating him. Whatever happened to the long-held tradition of somebody running against the district director from the floor when they're unopposed? It forces them to have to give a campaign speech at the district council meeting. But, well, he's just too nice. And, of course, no one stepped up. And who would want to run against someone so nice? And another thing, have you ever noticed how often he apologizes? He apologizes for everything. Why, I've even seen him apologize to a dog. He hasn't figured out that he can just about get away with anything because he's so nice. He just does whatever he wants to do and then apologizes. And amazingly, no one seems to care. But in actuality, we owe him a debt of gratitude. Jim stepped up to serve as program quality director mid-year, and he even knew that he wasn't even going to get district service credit for it. He also had to be the contest chairman on short notice. Rightly, he is going to go down as the nicest district director anyone has ever known. Mr. Master of Ceremonies.
Michael, you're muted.
I didn't, it must have muted me. I said, thank you very much, Jim. And speaking of unopposed candidates, I'd like to call on our current district director, distinguished Toastmaster, Peter Salazar. Peter.
Thank you, Michael. Can everybody hear me? Cool. According to Jim, we all met about a year ago when we all got our pins on. However, that's not true. Jim and I met a couple years earlier. We just don't remember it. See, fellow Toastmasters, in the old days, July Jubilee was an all-day thing. We would start drinking in the morning, then we'd drink some more, then we'd have some dinner, and then we would do the awards show. And that's where I met Jim. At this table. I had no idea he was sitting right next to me the whole time, but we got to talking, and then somebody, I don't know who, gave us more drinks. And then the night got hazy. But we kept talking, And even though we don't remember it, I believe never mind. I believe that's the first time we started thinking about becoming a trio. But the night kept getting hazier and hazier and hazier. And Jim said, I'm a captain. And we all thought, cool, you could be our leader. The night got hazier and Jim got cartoonish. And if you look at this picture right here, while the three of us are Toastmasters who you voted for in the past, none of our spouses are Toastmasters. Kind of ironic. But anyways, I kept thinking about Jim telling me he was a captain, and I was like, is he a sea captain, a fishing captain? What could he be? Is he Captain Morgan? But then he won a trophy. And it was a huge trophy. And I thought, the Stanley Cup, I get it now. He is a hockey captain. Sadly, Toastmasters, it was much, much more sad than that. He was actually this captain. And then he told me, Peter, I'm famous. I've held flags for countries. I've been on TV. And I was like, wow, Jim, do you have a street named after you? He said, yeah, I clean it up every weekend. And there you go. Jim and Oro Valley Street. And wait, is that a picture of David Hopper? I think it is. A hero's job is never done. Jim, you were our leader, our cheerleader, our role model. And I'm often asked, is that guy on our new webpage Jim Eng, a young Jim Eng? I think so. We had to go with this picture because it was much better than the other option. That Jim Eng. Jim, honestly, this past year was great. We accomplished a lot of things together. We learned from you. We learned from your leadership and your all around great attitude and doing things. And that's something that we can all take away. It's been a pleasure serving with you. But before I go, I want to thank one more person, Carol. See, Carol lent Jim to us this year, and even though she didn't want to. But the most important thing I remember about Carol is that one time Jim and I had to meet and do some stuff for Toastmasters, and she took care of my daughter. She took her shopping for linen, and she even made her a little purse. So Carol, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And you can have Jim back. Jim, we wish you success, no matter what it may be, in your future endeavors. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Peter. And yes, you're absolutely right. I got to know Carol only slightly after I convinced Jim to step up as PQD. I'm so grateful without joking, I'm so grateful that he said yes to do that. And then I was so happy he went forward to run as district director, and he gave us so much in this challenging year. But after that day that he said yes, Carol never quite looked at me the same. And I think that I too get that look once in a while. Hopefully, it'll be kinder in the future. Now, I thought I'd play a little bit of music on the. I was going to learn to play the ukulele before this session, but for some reason I procrastinated and didn't learn in time. So what I've done is I've asked Michelle Zalak to come and give us a moment. Michelle.
Michael, she just dropped off the call about a minute ago.
Oh no! You don't want me playing the ukulele. Believe me. Okay, well, with that, Jim, you want to play the music? Is Jimmy there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, with that, Jim, thank you so much for all you've done. I know firsthand how much you've done, and I don't know that the rest of the district can possibly appreciate what you've done unless they've sat in your chair. But we love you, and we look forward to your continued leadership in the district. Will you take us out, please, sir?
Okay.
Michael, I was on the list to roast. This is Connie Weiss.
Michael, also
Well, it's
Michelle.
not over yet.
Oh, okay.
Michael, also Michelle is going to rejoin. She got dropped because of a storm, but she's going to rejoin.
Okay, Connie, you want to take in?
Okay, give me just 1 second. Like a lot of young boys, Jim was desperate to be a superhero. He spent years in vain searching to be a superhero until one day he joined Toastmasters. And then he found his superhero powers, his words. Jim thought words can turn into thoughts can turn into action, and actions can change the world. So he embarked on a service leadership path in Toastmasters. I've had the opportunity to know Jim for over 10 years, and I have to say, I always thought he was a little odd. So when he showed up at the 2018-19 spring convention as Captain Postmasters, I'm thinking, what is a man in his 50s wearing tights in public for? Oh my gosh, tights. Jim, what were you thinking? And while talking to him, all of a sudden, he crunched down like Spider-Man, and he morphed into his persona as Spotty. He was looking around. He goes, somebody needs me. And next I knew, he was flying around the room like Superman. I'm thinking he really believes that he has superpowers. This is our leader? Oh my gosh, we're in trouble. It's going to be a long year. But channeling the Baby Yoda Jedi mind tricks, he got a team assembled to help him serve. He loved Iron Man, which is his favorite superhero. So he used Iron Man's sense of humor to thwart political drama. He kapowed pathway naysayers. And he used Captain America's truth and justice and loyalty to unite the district. However, he was a superhero on a mission. He was going to turn D3 into a President's Distinguished District until he met his nemesis, COVID-19. Oh, this supervillain has changed the world and Toastmasters. But his first thing was to run like Flash Gordon. He was going to leave the district. And then we looked at him and he said, we're our leader. We need our superhero more than ever. So with every ounce of his superhero's power, he fought the good fight until June 30th. Jim, my friend, it's time to face reality. Your gavel was not Thor's hammer. Dr. Strange wants his cape back. Baby Yoda is not your lost twin or BFF. And finally, it's time to lose the tights, dude. Jim, you thought you could fly like Superman, but let me tell you, you allowed your team to soar to new heights as servant leaders. It was an honor to serve under you. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Connie. All right, did Michelle make it back yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, you missed her. Great. I played a whole ukulele number that was just virtuoso. It was wonderful.
Oh, Michael.
So
Later?
You're gonna have to top it now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Roastmaster. Everybody who's roasting Jim, he's the nicest guy. What are y'all doing? You made it thunder outside, and then you kicked me off the internet. What the hell? So sorry, I can't say that in Toastmasters. I'm sorry. I'm going to sing to Jim because I think that's only fitting, because that's what I do. What you gonna do when you have to roast Jimming? You can't leave Michael hanging. What you gonna do? What you gonna do when Jim is the nicest? He's also the wisest. What you gonna do? He will go to your meetings, pick you lemons, get 20 members each year. How we gonna roast this sweetest man? Wait, I know. Jim is the one who can't say no. He's in a terrible fix. We always said, come on, let's go. He says yes when he should say nix. He said yes to the PQD in the middle of the year. He didn't get the credit, but he still had a smile from ear to ear. He is our strength when times are low. He won't hold back or complain. He ain't the type that will faint. He will be what he ain't. He can't say no. Back to you, Michael.
Oh, Michelle, I'm so glad you got back with that number. Thank you very much. All right, everyone, thank you for your time and staying with. And with that, I will pass control to your immediate past district director, James Eng. Take it away, Jim.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, everyone. I want to thank again from the bottom of my heart. I hope to see all of you at a future Toastmasters event. I will give each of you a hug, a kiss. Thank you all. I look forward to seeing all of you. This has been a fun event, and it's been great. See you all at a future event.